Earlier, I spoke with Rand Paul's campaign manager, Chip Englander, and I asked him why Paul has not managed to differentiate himself, as many expected he would, so far in this campaign.
Well, everywhere the senator goes, we're getting huge crowds. In New Hampshire today, last week out west, as he talks about, you know, we have a country that's run by lobbyists for special interests, and career politicians in both parties let it happen. So we're getting big crowds. And, you know, the polls, they move up and down. It's an extraordinarily fluid race. If you look 4 years ago, the person who was leading in August was Michelle Bachmann. In September, it was Rick Perry. Then it was Herman Cain. Then it was Newt Gingrich. Those four folks, they didn't even finish in the top 2 in Nevada, New Hampshire, or Iowa. So it's a fluid race.
Part of the problem, it seems to me, when you talk about special interests, I remember when Rand launched, it was defeat the Washington machine. There's another candidate who's talking about special interests in the person of Donald Trump, who has this whole very compelling shtick where he talks about how he himself was a donor. He used to spread money around and ask for favors. And that, I think, is been working with folks. Do you feel like he's crowded out some of your message on that?
Well, I think it's great because you touched on that he actually really demonstrates the hunger that's out there, that we do need to defeat the Washington machine. And the reality is, you know, who's up right now and him being up in the summer or whatever. I mean, it's never indicates who's actually going to win this
Chip,
thing.
can I ask you this? So here's part of the problem with the defeat the Washington machine message, it appears to me, is that it is being given by a senator who's the son of a congressman who served many terms, ran for president. He worked on the guy's campaign. I mean, this is not some guy who just came out of nowhere. This is Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky.
Well, he did come out of nowhere. I mean, he's only been in the Senate since for a few years. He was an eye doctor for nearly 20 years in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
And the son of a congressman.
Well, a congressman who everyone associates that is totally independent of the special interests, who ran against it. And those are the folks that are coming out to all the events. I don't think anybody really associates him as part of the machine. Everyone understands that he is someone who's fought it, and that this country has nearly intractable problems, that we need a transformational figure. And that's the space that he's going to fill in this race.
That independence you talked about with respect to his father, Ron Paul, I mean, the place where he was most independent, particularly of his party, was on foreign policy. Remember those debates 4 years ago where he would say things that would inaugurate a cascade of boos from the crowd and condemnation from the people up on the rostrum. He supports the Iran deal. Rand Paul, your candidate, has come out against the Iran deal, and coming out against the Iran deal has put him with no space to differentiate on what is arguably the most consequential foreign policy decision facing the country. Do you think that hurts him?
Well, actually, I mean, the senator has disagreed with folks in his own party on military interventions all around the world, in Libya, Syria, Egypt. He has been against intervention. Now, in the Iran deal, he did support negotiations, but just because you support negotiations doesn't mean you automatically have to support the final product. He believes that the current deal, it removes all the sanctions immediately. He believes it should be slowly, over time. You know, Ronald Reagan also said trust but verify, and we need to make sure that nobody's cheating on the deal.
The perception is that this is partly driven by politics, right? That essentially you can't survive either in the fundraising race or a Republican primary if you support looking like it's going to be a signature foreign policy achievement of President Obama. I mean, how much is this just a political calculation?
None of it is a political calculation. He has studied the deal intently. He's read the deal. He's followed all these different policies, and he's always said what's on his mind. And whether it's the filibuster on the NSA spying issue, whether it was on the drone strikes, whether it was opposing his own party on various military interventions, opposing the war in Iraq, all these different things. He's always has stood on principle.
All right, Chip Englander, thank you very much. Tell the good doctor to come by the show anytime.
Absolutely. Thanks.